Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the Eternals because somebody has to.
Oh, they're going to make you like the Eternals. They're doing everything they can to try to find an audience for it.
Yeah, Marvel is going to force the Eternals down your throat with Webtoon. Now, this is really interesting for a number of reasons. One, Marvel is yet another mainstream Western comic book publisher to bank on Webtoon. Mm-hmm. You know, DC Comics is doing the Bat Family, which is doing really well. We've got Archie doing the Ethel comic, and of course, you know, there was Lore Olympus, which is one of their homebrew Western comics, you know, beating manga.
Oh, it's kicking ass. They have merchandise at Hot Topic.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's all over the place.
No, it's here in the States, but still, like, it's a huge
one
deal.
example of many, though.
And
several that this is happening with.
You know, the suits at Marvel, the suits at Disney are probably paying attention to this, and they're probably looking at the declining direct market, and they're probably like, why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, and I think also it has to do with they need the Eternals to stick somewhere, and they're trying desperately. It's like a little bit reverse. We always say that the comic characters don't work. They try to put them in movies and shows.
Yeah.
They did that, and it was a complete disaster, and I think that they want to do more with them. So now they're trying to go backwards and try to make, we need to find an audience, so eat this shit up. I know, webcomics.
Yeah, we'll go to Webtoon. We'll get the ships going. We'll get the ships going, and then when we do an Eternals 2 or an Eternals Disney Plus show, they'll all turn up for that.
They want them for something, because otherwise they wouldn't put so much effort into Eternals.
Well, probably because they're, you know, if I had to guess, one of the few Marvel franchises not covered by the Universal theme park deal. Look at what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, that was not covered because it wasn't one of the main Marvel series. Eternals is really off the beaten path, so they're probably thinking like, oh shit, we were going to do an Eternals ride and we can't do it
meet
now.
And greets or whatever.
Meet and greets. Nobody wants to meet these characters.
No one cares.
So we're going to talk about this. A lot to unpack here. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 252,000 subs. Thank you for the support. We talked about comics. We talked about webcomics. We talked about Disney, having worked in all of those
And it's
things.
all come together in one right here. Boom.
It's the great conjunction.
We were made for this.
We were. We are in the right place at the right time for once in our lives. Because we were into webcomics before webcomics were really a thing in the mainstream. In fact,
Back when they called it amateur hour and mocked them.
Yeah, so we're going to rewind here a little bit. We had webcomic Shadowbinders. We actually did.
But you can now buy the print versions if you go to shopclownfish.com.
Yes, you can. We've got
I figure I must take advantage of it. I mean, about Disney would.
Yeah, we actually were mirroring Shadowbinders on Webtoon when it first started, and then we just kind of stopped. Now, we were getting paid, and we said this before. We were getting paid. They paid us, and we got paid in ad revenue. We didn't get paid very much. You know, that was years ago. Things have absolutely changed because now everybody's running to Webtoons.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because Webtoons themselves built up a platform in the United States by using webcomic artists to come in and bring their audiences over. And then some of those people even paid to advertise to get people to come to their webcomic on Webtoons. And then after they built up to a big, you know, the big thing it is today, now Webtoons is leveraging those to bring in, you know, they bring in their Korean artists. Mm-hmm. And now they're using it to try to get TV shows, movie deals, everything else. And now they're getting, you know, collaboration deals.
Yeah, it is really interesting that in like 3 or 4 months, we've seen DC, Archie, and Marvel all banking on Webtoon. And you know, I remember when we were doing web comics that there were several pros, editors and publishers and artists from, you know, these companies, Marvel and DC, calling webcomics amateur hours, saying that webcomics were basically what you did if nobody was willing to pay for your work. It was never really going to go anywhere. It was like a fanzine. These were also the same people that ran down crowdfunding. It was e-begging.
Right.
You weren't a real publisher.
Until they needed it. And this, they're really pushing it. Oh, it's international creators. They did this with the Star Wars thing too, and it was not bad. And they're like, well, it's international creators, and it's diversity, and it's, you know, they're trying to use the buzzwords. But what it all comes down to, if you ask us, in our opinion, is that one, they need to make Eternal stick. It's not sticking.
Yeah. So
they're going to try to take it to Webtoon. 2, DC and Archie already did it, so they're going to take it to Webtoon to compete. 3, manga is kicking mainstream comics' ass. You know, it really is. And as contrary to what some places will tell you, it's kicking its ass. And, you know, webcomics as much as they were amateur hour before, now they're kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah, this is interesting. So the Eternals has recently been sent to Disney Plus. The movie itself was an epic bomb. We talked about that. General audiences and critics were confused by the story, direction. Marvel's trying to take a play from DC and go where they think the audience is. Webcomics now, just to point out, Batman, Wayne Family Adventures, which I think is a pretty fun strip. It's got 790,000 subscribers on Webtoon, and they've had 19 million views. 19 million views.
I mentioned that. I said, when mainstream comics aren't selling, which they normally their play would be to take it on mainstream. It's not selling. You have comics over on Webtoons that have 1 million plus subscribers and get millions of views an update.
Yeah.
You have that, and those are for, not the Batman. I mean, the thing about Webtoons is, too, though, it does tend to skew slice-of-life romance more than superhero.
Yeah.
Because they've tried this before and it hasn't worked.
Shipping.
Right. But that's what they're going for. They're like, well, we'll take it over there and we'll play up some of these other aspects. We'll hire South Korean writers and artists who know how to play Webtoons and that audience, how to manipulate that audience to get them to get our fans over, to get fans from there. So if the fans aren't coming to the movie, we'll go out and find new fans and appeal to them.
That's exactly what they're thinking. And I think a catalyst for it might have actually, I mean, I'm sure this was in the works before because DC's doing it, but Lore Olympus has been a huge, huge success. In fact, Lore Olympus here in the States beat out manga on the graphic novel sales chart. It's unprecedented, really, that this has happened. Now, I think the Oatmeal did it before as a webcomic way back when. But, the comic book publishers have to be looking at this and they're like, yeah, this is where the audience is, manga and Webtoons. And just to roll it back a little bit further, when we first started talking about this kind of stuff, having worked on Disney Comics, even though people say it didn't work on Disney Comics, freaking 10 plus years, I was talking to somebody from the Disney publishing side and they told me flat out that Disney was looking to job out the Marvel comics. They were looking for a solution. Then we saw a year or two after that IDW started doing it and they kind of failed. And I really have to wonder if they're not going to look at this experiment and be like, maybe it's not worth doing the American style comics anymore. Maybe we just reprint Infinity War from now until the end of time, and then we do Webtoons from here on out.
Right, because we've said before, there's been a lot of talk, and we've been saying it for years, that Marvel was going to take and outsource all their stuff.
Yes.
And if Western comics are getting their asses kicked and no one cares, and plus the fact that you have all these creators out there who do nothing but tweet all damn day and alienate half the audience and just cause all kinds of drama and bullshit, like constant drama and bullshit, you could just take it completely out of the country or to another platform and put those people on a successful platform that's kicking, their ass, and then they can doubly kick those people's asses. And they won't be on Twitter all day yelling at people either.
Yeah, if I were a Marvel or DC creator, this is an experiment. All this is an experiment right now. Right now. I would be highly concerned because they're going to look at this and they're going to look at those numbers. 19 million views on a Batman comic. And I know if they would publish a Wayne family graphic novel, it's going to sell the shit out. They're going to sell the shit out of it compared to even the regular Batman titles because they have such a massive platform. And the same thing will happen with Marvel, too. And honestly, if they can make the Eternals stick on Webtoon, you can make anything. So can you imagine Spider-Man on Webtoon?
Well, yeah, but they tried to do that with their own thing on the Marvel thing with the cookie and stuff and didn't work. But the Wayne family thing you said, that's something interesting, too. Do you notice they took a normal comic book character and group and they twisted the story to fit the Webtoon audience, slice of life, comedy, that kind of stuff. That's what the Webtoon audience loves. So they took an existing property and they made changes to it to court that audience. That's exactly what this is going to be.
Shipping, lots and lots of shipping. The thing is it might actually wind up being more interesting than the movie wound up being. But they're going for that manga Webtoon audience, and there is definitely a crossover there.
The writers are even the South Korean people, I think.
Yeah.
There's a list. Go down here. I don't remember. I know the artists were. Here's a list of the different people involved. You can see a lot of these names. A couple of people aren't, but a lot of them are the South Korean writers.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't. And the artists are artists, but a lot of them are.
Yeah, and again, this is an issue Disney's been dealing with for at least the past 4 or 5 years now, is their Western freelancers constantly tweeting, constantly causing drama, constantly throwing shade. Tanking sales, calling out the company, yada, yada, yada. And if I were Disney, knowing how they think, they'd be like, yeah, we'll just say we're pivoting our direction. We're not gonna do as many Western comics. They might still do some a Spider-Man book and whatever sells, and then we're gonna pivot all of our other characters or start to focus more on Webtoon, because we know if comics are losing money anyway, they're not making a lot of money. We'd rather go where there's a potential for a larger audience that's going to buy merchandise. They're going to buy,
right, and that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. So they're trying to leverage into webcomics. And now they're going to put this out. It's out today on was it Marvel Unlimited?
Yeah,
and then it's going to be out the 20th on Webtoons. But and also they just put Disney on Disney Plus the Eternals yesterday, I think it was. So it's they're all making these announcements, tying in together, synergy. But when I saw this, they're all like, "Yay!" I knew exactly what they were doing. They're gonna make these characters stick come hell or high water. You have Gemma Chan, basically saying, "Marvel owns me for life," ha ha ha. When in regards to doing future projects, So I think that they have plans for these characters. Like you said, I think it's probably more like because they have more rights to these, in ways that they can't use some of the other characters because of theme parks and stuff. And they're going to double down phase 4. They probably need these guys for some reason, for something, and it's not working theatrically, so we're going to find a new audience, and we'll suck up to those people.
Can you imagine if they dropped a Spider-Man comic that was exclusive to Webtoon that kind of borrowed from Far From Home, that had like multiple Spider-Man just kind of teaming up, and it would be huge.
They were smart. They would have started with that,
like Spider Bros or something, like all that brotherhood type thing they had going. Just get
If they were smart, they would have started with that. Well, there's talk that they might bring back some of the other Spider-Man, but like in an animated or comic cartoon form. They would totally go on Webtoon.
Even Archie Comics, they have this Ethel comic out there, and freaking 5.5 million views on Ethel.
You know what's funny to me? When we had our comic on there, we had millions of views on it.
Yeah, we did. Then we took it down and then we put it back up. I was going to reformat, but I'm like, it's not worth it. At that point in time, the money was not there. And it made it very hard to justify the time sink. Yeah, especially to rework the comic to fit the Webtoon format. Now, things have changed, but even then, like, not everybody's Lore Olympus. There are creators out there that are happy if they're making a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 a month, but that still isn't worth.
There's people that are happy to get 100 views a month. I mean, let's be honest. And that's fine. Everybody's definition of success is different. That's completely fine. I mean, for that, y'all have to start somewhere, But it's just funny to me that Disney that can't make Eternals completely bombs. It is like most everybody's agreeing it's like one of the worst, if not the worst film. It's not doing well. Did not do well. A lot of bad publicity. And now here they come with, but that's okay. We're gonna go to Webtoon. I'm just like, I know where this is going.
They might actually. I'm going to be honest. And people aren't going to like to hear it. They might actually be able to make it work, because again, if they appeal to that audience and they give that audience what they want. Whether it's Eternals or other Marvel characters, they're going to bring in the eyeballs.
I think it depends on how they present it. Yeah. Because if it just goes, it's a superhero, whatever, it's not going to fly. But if they do play up the relationships in a slice of life or funny or romantic type way, that will work on Webtoon.
Oh, absolutely. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think this is a test. We've talked about this before. I don't think they're going to quit the direct market cold turkey, but they definitely realize that
they need to expand.
They need to expand. Time is running out. They're looking at manga. They're looking at Webtoon numbers, and they're like, why isn't it us?
They have Marvel, and other than the movies, the Marvel's going, they have to do something to pull it out of that nosedive. Yeah. That, quite frankly, the creators and the people that at Marvel put it in.
Spider Bros, you heard it here first.
Yeah, there you go.
3 Spider-Men sharing an apartment, riffing off of Far From Home. You heard it here first. If they do that, I will gladly take $1 million for that idea.
They'll say that you don't own it, and they could do what they want.
It'll be Spider Hose. They'll turn it into Spider Hose.
Well, no, if it's on Webtoons, it won't be. But if it's through Marvel, it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing.
It won't be those Spider-Men. It'll be the Spider Women.
Spider Women.
Or some variation of not white guys.
Amazing girlfriends.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's the thing too, because
that's going to CW.
Disney's going to look at this too, and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, you want woke comics? Yeah, hey, we're doing this for an international audience, and we have certain things that we can and can't do. So we can't really do that. We can't really make Spider-Man.
We actually want people to like her.
We actually want people. Yeah, and it's look, it is the perfect catch-all excuse.
Well, they can't make offensive comments. That they're being, they're being istophobic, whatever.
Yeah, this is the perfect catch. This is how. Look, I'm gonna be honest. If you are having problems with Marvel Comics creators, direct market sales, this is your out. This is Disney's out. They can scrape all of it off the bottom of their shoe because they're not making a lot of money off the comics anyway.
Switch companies so they can outsource it someplace else.
Yeah, like we're just pivoting. That's what it is. Bob Chapek talked about how they're going to have a lot of changes this year.
One of them is we're going to listen to customers.
We're going to listen to customers, and they're going to be like, hey, look, over here at DC, 19 million views. How many comics did you sell this month? Yeah, exactly. We're going to pivot.
Well, that's 19 million views since it launched.
Right. But still, it's a lot of people. A hell of a lot of people. So, again, not paying sales, but it will down the road translate into, I guarantee you, merchandise sales and graphic novel sales, and that's what they're going to look at. Mm-hmm. I don't know, guys. I don't know. We're going to wrap this one up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.